Hello, kindergarten scientists. Since we did not have school on Monday, Miss Moyer and I wanted to make sure that nobody was left behind on our lessons involving simple machines. And today's lesson is going to cover an inclined plane as well as a screw. So you're going to learn all about those two simple machines. All we need for today is our paper triangle and a pencil or a pen. You should be able to find these in your science materials bag. But if for some reason you can't find them, that's okay. You can just cut out your very own triangle, and hopefully you can find a pencil or a pen laying around somewhere. I hope everybody enjoys the video. Lately, we have been learning a lot about simple machines. The last time we met, we talked about levers. And remember, a lever is like a seesaw. It has a fulcrum in the middle, and when you push down on one end of the lever, the other end goes up. A lever is one way of lifting something very heavy off the ground. Now I want us to learn about another simple machine that can help us move heavy objects. It's called an inclined plane. An inclined plane is basically a ramp that assists us in moving heavy objects up and down. Maybe you've seen people trying to load heavy objects into a truck. Maybe they're moving somewhere and they need to take their couch and put it up into a truck. Well, a lot of times they'll use a ramp to help them get that heavy thing from the ground up into whatever they need to put it into. So some inclined planes can be very long and easy to walk up, while others can be short and very steep, making them more difficult to walk up. So what I want us to do is I want us to check out this cool video from SciShow Kids, and they're going to tell us more about inclined planes.
We just came back from a big book sale at the library, and we have two big boxes full of new books for our reading room. And I can't wait to get started on my reading. But first, Squeaks and I have a lot of stuff to carry. The problem is these boxes are too heavy for me or Squeaks to lift because books are heavy. And if we can't lift them, we can't carry them up the steps to get inside. So what can we do? Well, we could ask someone to help, but these boxes are so heavy, we probably won't be able to lift them even if we work together. Or Squeaks and I could carry just a few things at a time. That might work, but it would take many trips up and down the stairs, which would take a lot of time. So I know, we can use some kind of a machine to help make our job easier. And I've got the perfect one in mind, a ramp. A ramp is just something that's long and flat with one end that's higher than the other end. It looks a lot like a slide on a playground. Some ramps are really steep and some are pretty flat. When we talk about how steep a ramp is, we call that the slope. So this ramp has a steep slope and this ramp has a slope that's less steep. You're right, Squeaks. A ramp doesn't look much like other machines we might have, like washing machines or lawnmowers. But scientists say that a machine is really just anything that helps us do work. And since a ramp helps us do work, that makes it a machine. And these kinds of machines that don't have many moving parts or none at all, like a ramp, are often called simple machines. Ramps make it easier to move things from a high place to a low place or the other way around. All we have to do is push or pull something on the ramp, either up or down, and our work is done. So let's see how a ramp can make the work of moving these books into our house a lot easier. We already said that the boxes of books were too heavy for me to carry up the steps. So Squeaks and I will put a ramp over the steps. The slope of this ramp is a little steep, but it reaches all the way from the bottom of the steps to the top. So if we put a box on the ramp and push, wow, he did it! Nice job, Squeaks. Squeaks had to push really hard, but he got the box to the top of the steps. All right, one box down and one box to go. What changes do you think we could make to our ramp to make Squeaks' job a little bit easier? Should we make the slope of the ramp steeper, or should we make it less steep? Let's try using a different ramp, one that's longer. This way, we can put the low end of the ramp farther away from the high end. Can you tell the difference? This ramp has less of a slope than the first one we used. Well, let's see if it helps. Ready, Squeaks? 1, 2, 3, push! Yes, right up the ramp and into the house. Squeaks had to push the box a little farther to get the box up the ramp, but he didn't have to push nearly as hard. When you think about it, using a ramp is kind of like walking up a big steep hill. It's harder to walk up a big hill if you walk straight up, but if you take a longer path that's less steep, you'll have to walk a longer distance, but it won't be nearly as hard. In the same way, it's harder to push something up a ramp with a steep slope than one that's not as steep. Ramps are all around you. They help us to move things into and out of trucks, move cars on and off of highways, and they let shopping carts, wheelchairs, or robotic rats get on and off sidewalks. And ramps are only one kind of simple machine. We'll explore other kinds of machines soon, but right now, I'm ready to get started on one of my new books. Thanks for joining us on SciShow Kids, and I'd like to give a big thank you to Google Making Science for helping us make this episode. If you've got a question for Squeaks or me, ask a grown-up for help and leave us a comment down below, or send us an email to kids@thescishow.com, and we'll see you next time.
The next simple machine we need to talk about is the screw. Maybe you've seen one of these before. You see, a screw is really just an inclined plane that's wrapped around a metal rod. Just as the inclined plane can wrap around a mountain to make it easier to travel up that steep slope, an inclined plane can also wrap around a central cylinder, as in the screw. And screws can be used to help lift heavy objects, as well as used to hold things together. Screws use rotational energy. Think of how you twist the lid onto a jar to make sure it stays on extra tight. That is an example of a screw. All right, friends, now that we've learned about an inclined plane and we've learned about a screw, let's make our very own screw. And we know that a screw is just an inclined plane wrapped around a central cylinder. So we're going to use our pencil as our central cylinder. I've got my inclined plane here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to line our central cylinder up with the edge of our triangle. And all we have to do, friends, is just wrap our inclined plane around our central cylinder. And voila, we have our screw. Hopefully you can see those lines. It's kind of showing that my inclined plane is wrapped around my central cylinder. And there we have it, our screw. Okay, friends, that was today's lesson on simple machines. Come back to the next class and we will learn about our next set of simple machines. Bye, everyone.